Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to the channel. My name is Joppa. It is good to see you again after a few days away. It is good to be back. I know some of you are feeling the pain of not being in Terminus right now, which is good news and bad news. It's good news for us. It's bad news for you, but it's good news that it's leaving that kind of a mark. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. That's a good thing, because as with all waits, they will soon be over before you realize it. And this will be yet another season of the past that we think back on. But for now, it is fresh, it is real. And believe me, there is much to do between now and when you guys are back in. And yeah, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you all. Lewin, thank you so much for the 8 months. 8 months. Nice. Indeed. Nice indeed. No Paul with the Prime sub. Thank you for the 2 months. Jadion with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, Jadion. Jadion. Appreciate it, man. Big time. We are just a few minutes in and we have a hype train going already, and it seems like all of I had an unintentional restart for my computer, and it seems like everything is working okay so far, so that's good. That's good. Let me know if something sounds weird, sounds off, whatever it may be. Fun Bag Sturdy, thank you so much as well for the tier 1. I appreciate that. Crit, thank you for the 8 months. What's on the agenda today? Oh, 8 months. Look at that. Look at that indeed. 8 months have gone by. What a crazy 8 months it has been. Indeed. Let me take a quick look and see who we've got here with us today. We have got, let's see. We've got Loon in the house, Joskar, Tagaderm, Nivea, Redbeard, Black Fox, Spoff, Laydale, welcome, Mox, Jadion, Let You Live, Hijacks, Initsu, Tumidin, Nagasaki, Yak 3D, welcome, Man of Rohan, welcome, Valeru, welcome to you as well, Arthax in the house, AK, good to see you guys. Creaky Doors, Jindoshi, or Jindashi, depending on how the sunlight hits you. K-Biz, welcome. Laughter, Tobruk, good to see you. Salted Hash as well. Ogre 2, Ilana Winhart in the house. Welcome. JD Punk, Dragon, Adam, welcome. Welcome to you all. Black Lotus, welcome. Calico Bard, the Cyber Nomad, Nivea, Amop MMO, good to see you. Good to see you. Tobias G. Carson, good to see you. Carlson, sorry. Good to see you. Sinister Deeds, welcome. Fun Bag, Sturdy. Hey man, enjoyed getting destroyed by that dragon. Hope your day has been well. It has. I have not been destroyed by any dragons, thankfully, yet. But it is a good day so far. Xcore, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Crit, welcome as well. Mad Ducks. Kick-a-leak. Grumpy TV. Dire Prism, P5. Gar the Darkmer. Fringe Loop. Crescents. Zencare. Hollow Death. Nice. McTavish. Core Chamber. Neuro 25, welcome. Ingle 5 Hertz, welcome, welcome. Asna, good to see you. Quixana, welcome. Gravy Robbers 87 was just watching your charm stream and you came live. Nice surprise indeed. I timed it well, it sounds like. What's up, Mosscoat? Jen. Well, before I answer this, so what are we doing today? We're going to take a look at a couple of things today. We are literally in the final days countdown to EA. There is much to do. There are not enough minutes in the day, even if I worked 24/7 to get done every little thing that I would like. So I am going to do my best to time box these streams. I'd like to go for an hour, maybe go a little bit longer, depending on what we've got going on. And there might be some exceptions to that. We'll see how things go. But the other side of that coin is there's a lot of things I'm working on right now that are, I think could potentially be a little more spoilery than we would like. Things that I would really like you guys to experience on your own. A lot of it has to do with itemization. I don't mind showing off a few things here or there because you guys have no idea where they are in the world or how to obtain them. But I want to keep as many things kind of a surprise as possible. So that plus NPC population, quest work, any of those types of things are things we want to be careful about overexposing. That being said, there are still several little things that we can show along the way, little points of progress that I think will be heartening and exciting to you guys as we get closer. So we'll be looking at a few of those things today. There's, a couple of little conversations that we can have as well, discussions that have been coming up on Discord or, burning questions that I'm seeing a lot. And it's just a chance to connect around Pantheon, to give you guys, an update on how we're doing as a team, how things are going. Make sure you guys know that, we're alive, we're kicking, we're doing okay, and all that. So that is the tentative plan for today. We'll see how we go. Also want to say a quick thank you to Funbag, Sturdy, and ZenCare for the follows. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. All right. So getting back to Techie Jen's question. Joppa, can you speak briefly on how the team's update philosophy is changing for EA, where players from Steam may be less than understanding of the types of changes we have had in the past that many consider backwards progress, i.e. combat changes, etc. The team's update philosophy. So, a couple of notes on that. Like, number one, with the conclusion and kind of the final steps here of wrapping up our combat and our itemization changes, there's not going to be another kind of widespread sweeping pass on a system as far-reaching as something like combat and itemization. And it's one of those interesting things when it comes to game design in general, and it's very peculiar and it's very specific to trying to do something that's new. Some of you could point to other games maybe that you've played during early access, or even other MMO projects, since they're kind of a unique breed that are in development currently. And in many cases, games will walk a very close line to the way another game has done it, formula-wise, system-wise, pacing-wise, the whole nine yards. I'm very pleased to say in many ways that what we're doing is somewhat unique in the space, in the sense that it's not like we're just, we're pulling formulas and timings and itemization from EverQuest, or we're pulling formulas, timings, itemizations from WoW, or anything like that. We're doing something relatively unique. I mean, we're drawing cues from different places, but I'm saying that to say what a lot of people look at as, oh, well, they're just, they had a combat system and then they gutted it and they started over and they're doing something totally different or whatever. In reality, what's happening are they're iterations. And I know that can maybe sound to some like an oversimplification, but it's literally what it is. It's trying different iterations of an approach with a goal to get to the same conclusion point, which is to have a balanced, enjoyable game that accomplishes the different mechanics and feel and things that we want it to, that marries well with an itemization system that supports it and is exciting and kind of always capturing some of that, as much of that classic feel and that classic spiritedness as we can. And it's one of the reasons why when you play Pantheon, you're not saying, oh, this feels exactly like EverQuest, or, oh, this feels exactly like World of Warcraft. It feels, it has hints of those things, and it has things that are very reminiscent, but you couldn't just lay it right on top of one of those two and say, oh, it's just like this. And that's a decision that we made. It's one that's taken, more iterations and more cycles to really feel that out. But I think in the end, it's gotten us to a point where we have a combat system that marries well with kind of the overall combat experience that we're trying to create, and ultimately the itemization system to support it. So all of that being said, to go back to the original question, I don't anticipate there being any more like super wide scale changes where all of a sudden, all of the population of players are like, whoa, what are you guys doing? Like you're completely, kind of taking a step back from where you've been headed and doing something totally different. There's not really going to be anything like that at this stage. We've done that. We've been through that process. Ultimately, we have a game to launch, and so we have landed on the combat system that we're happy with. I mean, obviously, there's still tweaks and there's still lots of minor iterations, micro iterations that are still in store, but the macro stuff is behind us. That being said, as a general note to everybody, okay, we all need to take a breath, take a deep breath in, and relax. Because EA is not launch. And it may take a little while for everybody to kind of get on board, or everybody to kind of get in the rhythm, but it will eventually become clear that we are absolutely still in a developmental phase. What that means is take a really, really big game, okay, like Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, massive game, massive player base, records, crazy example, right? Like totally opposite end of the extreme. If you watch their early access phase, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the charts, you're going to see, even for a massive game like Baldur's Gate that finally launched at the end of its EA to just absolutely crazy success and huge numbers and all that stuff, there were times during their EA phase where they had literally just, some 1,000 players concurrently playing. And that's because EA, it's not a launched game. It's a developmental period. It's a different kind of developmental period where the doors are wide open and there's, a bunch of people coming in, and we have a different relationship to our customer base because we are already running a live game. We have been for, a year plus now, but in a sense, we're running a live game. We've got, constant uptime, persistent servers, persistent data, all that stuff. Some of the dynamics are different, but it will become clear that, okay, this game is still in development. There is still an eventual final launch date for this out in the future. And then I think the majority of people that, ultimately will play Pantheon on launch, some of them will play all the way through. Some of them will play off and on. Some of them will take a look, say, okay, I get it. I'm excited about where this is coming. I'll check in every once in a while. But, the numbers are going to go up and down. We have to remember that we're not viewing the start of EA as this explosive launch. And if we don't see tens of thousands upon thousands of people playing, then, it's not like that. It's not like that. So there's a little bit of a kind of taking a deep breath. It's exciting. It's a big deal. It's a new era. But we are going to be very quickly back into that same rhythm of, okay, when's patch day? We've got, these are the things we're working on for the next patch. We bust it out. Next update, bust it out. And we keep going, and the game keeps developing. And in that sense, it really is kind of going into like a more of a public alpha state. But like I've said before, my anticipation is that it's not going to be a game for everybody, absolutely. But the majority of people who are drawn to the game and play it will see enough here to say, I like it. I like where this game's headed. I'm excited about where it's headed. And I'm going to be keeping tabs on it throughout early access as we get, closer to that final launch day. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great season for Pantheon's development, for its, public awareness. So that's kind of where our philosophy is at. I decided to start the day with a very quick and easy question and answer. I mean, you can't get much more concise than the answer I just gave. You know what I mean? It's kind of my MO. Dentarog, Goose Never Dies, and Morphozoid. It's a nice name, Morphozoid. Thank you guys for the follow. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. Dosey says, Renarius could not make the stream today. Joppa, if you're still around, I am still around. My question isn't about what audience you're aiming for. It's more about your... Oh, yeah, this is the one that... I remember this. We were talking about... The topic came up of Pantheon and how niche Pantheon will be. And, is Pantheon a niche game? And or a niche game, depending on how you say it. I actually do know a lot of people in real life that say niche, and I know a lot of people that say niche. I'm going to say niche because I think I say niche. That's kind of how it just flows. But a lot of people got really upset about that last time I did a video on it. So I'm going to say niche, and it is what it is. Is Pantheon a niche game? And I did a video with Minus a little while back when he was still here on that topic. And I basically made a case of saying, no, Pantheon is not a niche game. This is going to be a pretty oversimplification of the conversation and the point. But it was said, the whole idea was one of nuance. Because, yes, Pantheon is a niche game. And in many ways, you could apply the definition of niche to just about anything. There is not anything that exists other than Oxygen that everybody's into, right? Like there are the amount of things that every single person alive has shared interest in is next to nothing. And certainly when it comes to entertainment products, there's nothing really that you would say every single person has a shared interest in. So by that right alone, of course, Pantheon, as with all things, is a niche product, or a niche game, a niche experience. The point I was trying to make is, I do believe that it's been long enough since there's been a new game that has come out with any kind of fanfare at all, like even small, that is intentionally driving and leaning into a classic experience. But there's a difference between something like what we're doing with Pantheon versus something like, I would say, like Evercraft or Monsters and Memories are doing, which is more of a full kind of unapologetic leaning into and embracing a literal kind of descendant of EverQuest, like on all fronts. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like if you were to overlay Evercraft over EverQuest, for example, the similarities are that it feels and plays like the same game in many ways, just with new, and that's not a none of this is meant to be like disparaging or a positive take. This is just me kind of talking in a neutral observation. It is, but the reason I think Evercraft is so interesting is because even though it is leaning directly into EverQuest mechanics, EverQuest pacing, even like the feel of things, the music, like there's so many cues, subtle and overt, that are so clearly EverQuest, but it's in a Minecraft style, which is really interesting to me because it's potentially it's kind of tapping on what I'm hoping for Pantheon, which is like a way to make that classic EverQuest experience accessible to a new generation of people. So this genre can grow, so that this kind of game, this kind of MMO experience can be back on the table again and not being monopolized by, the fast food MMOs that are out there. But so the goal with this game is with Pantheon is to draw in as many new people as possible, and not only resonate with a diehard veteran EQ crowd. That was the point I was making when I was talking about Pantheon not being a niche game. Of course it's a niche game. Of course it will have a limited appeal based on people who share any, an interest like this. But my point was, I don't want to purposefully constrain it into an even smaller niche than it needs to be, because I think there are many more people than we realize that would be interested in a game like this if they found the right on-ramps and inroads. So that was the context of the conversation this morning. And then Renarius's question was, it's not so much about the audience you're aiming for, more about your team's vision. I've always imagined that you were building a game for yourself, and if we enjoy it, we're invited into the world with you. Can you give some examples where feedback has helped you modify your vision, and examples of where you've held fast to something even though feedback is asking for something else? I think so. Have we been making a game that we want to play, and then we can invite other people in if they find it interesting or whatever? Yes and no. I mean, yes and no. The best answer I can give you on that question, which is like trying to take something as intangible as like internal feel, gut, and then trying to put it into a shape that other people can actually see, would be to say, when I played Vanguard for the first time, this is after, playing EQ for many years. When I played Vanguard for the first time, it did not feel right. It didn't feel right in many specific ways. The world was there. It was a big world. There were lots of classes, different races. Like, there's a lot of like the ingredients were there, but there were things that didn't feel right. And the more I played it, the more I realized that, okay, well, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right when I pull one thing, it automatically links and pulls these other things. Or it doesn't feel right that I'm supposedly playing like an EverQuest inspired successor and I'm doing like quest hubs like I did in WoW. And the list kind of went on of things that didn't feel right. And what I'm trying to do with Pantheon, as far as it depends on me, is I'm trying to navigate in a way that does evolve EverQuest into a more modern, and the game into a more modern, palatable experience as an MMO, but doesn't miss those really important cues that started to make things like EQ2 and Vanguard and ultimately WoW feel off. WoW, I put in a different category because they were intentionally doing something very different and they did it really successfully. And I think there are some good cues that we can draw from that. But it's making sure that when people play Pantheon, yeah, they may notice like, okay, this is feeling a little stagnant, or this is feeling a little unfinished, or this doesn't have as much pop or as much feedback, or there's the UI issues here or some of the art issues here. But they're never feeling this like, this feels dissonant. Like this feels like it's not. It does like it feels wrong, like something feels wrong in terms of like the DNA of the game. So I hope that makes sense. As far as the specifics of like what feedback we take and what we don't, it's really hard to like kind of give a blanket answer to that. Fun matters a lot to me. I know fun is subjective, but just a joy, an excitement, emotion that comes out of playing the game is a big deal. So feedback where I hear like a growing number of players that are starting to say like, hey, this really doesn't feel fun, that usually pricks my ear. But of course, it's always weighed against other factors and whatnot. But yeah, it would be hard. I would need a more specific question maybe to try and answer that one. It's really difficult to blanket that answer. Will there be another wipe before launch? Absolutely, yeah. If you're talking about in between the start of EA and 1.0 launch, yeah, there will definitely be a wipe, and there will probably be more than one. Scorpion Fish, thanks for the follow. Clock, thank you for the tier 1 sub for the 3 months of support. I appreciate that big time. Phineas AF, thanks for the follow. Albatross in the house, thank you so much, Albatross, for the 8 months. Hello to you too, sir. Appreciate that. Big time. Doug Bug says, I understand that it's EA, but I think that many people are worried that VR won't be able to scale up a smidge to help with the pace of dev. We'll see. We will see. I think a lot of people have been very happy with the pace that we've been able to move over the last year. I think we've proven that we can kind of pull out all the stops and get, a pretty significant amount of things done in a short amount of time over these last few months even. But yeah, we've got to grow. We don't have to grow a ton, but we've got to grow in some key areas to make our concurrency more efficient, maximize the kind of concurrency we can do with development. We don't have as many things that are like, this task is waiting on the same person to finish these 2 other things that only they are able to do before they can get to it. You know what I mean? That's going to help a ton. Any chance we can get cast bars on the target windows? We are actually going to test that today. That should be in and working. We're going to take a look at that. I haven't even looked at it yet. We're going to do it together live. Hard to believe tomorrow's already the 13th. I know, right? It goes by so fast. Does that mean what I was saying earlier? Does that mean the way stats work now is set in stone? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's set in stone in the sense that there will still be those kind of micro iterations along the way where we might tweak, this or that here or there. So set in stone in terms of there's not going to be any new stats added to the game. There's not going to be this crazy overhaul of what specific stats do, but there will still be some of those micro iterations along the way. Yeah, fun equals watching someone in Halnir Cave get ravaged for the first time. That's fair. JD Punk says, couldn't agree more, and I was with Silky Venom for a while working with and supporting Vanguard. Nice. I spent a lot of time on that site. Appreciate all the effort that went into it back in the day. How long did I play Vanguard? I played Vanguard longer in the lead up to the launch of Vanguard than I did the actual launched game. More gas bats, yeah. I would say that is universal feedback. No, I'm not going to explain what Runaway Reef is or the Wolverine or Executor. Nope. No. Could you let us know if the new monk armors and weathered batons you showed in a recent stream will be in game at the start of EA? Asking for a friend. The new monk armor is not going to be in at the start of EA, but I can say with certainty, because I have been adding them in myself, that a wider array of bow staffs and batons and fist weapons will absolutely be in at the start of EA. For sure. Ghastly says, wish you guys all the best for the health of the genre. Lots of cool, old school inspired MMOs in the works, and it is a breath of fresh air. I agree 100%. 100%. It's crazy that it's taken this long, for this, the amount of projects that are now in development to really hit this mark. It's wild that it's taken this long for that many. But then are people ready? Very ready. It's encouraging to me when I hear feedback from various different people from people that play classic World of Warcraft and play it hard. How much they're aching for something new that does exactly what we're trying to do, which is really lean into some of those places of depth that were kind of left behind. Did I see your message from earlier, Raydil? Did I? A Joppa, if you haven't seen my Dire Lord post from yesterday, can you please do so? Yeah, I'll take a look at them on Discord, I think. How am I? B-Floor, sorry I missed your message. I'm doing okay. So far, so good. A little tired, but it's kind of like it's kind of like that feeling when you start to get if you're running down a platform and there's a giant boulder rolling down behind you. You have moments where you feel tired, but then you remember, if I stop, I'm gonna get pulverized. I'm just kidding. No, it's a mixture of extreme excitement, kind of almost like a bewildered, uncanny excitement. Is this real life? It's really happening. Mixed with just really locked in focus, mixed with kind of that trepidation that comes when there's a big kind of moment, but it's good. I appreciate you asking. Um, Vandred says, Joppa, to the question earlier about what parts of this game were improved due to tester feedback, I can state for a fact that spells and their functionality, power, mana cost, cast times, resist, etc., have all been improved because we gave feedback. Yeah, that's a great example, and that's a very important one because we are now at the point, well, we've been at this point for a long time, where the people playing and testing the game have put in far more hours to these classes and these mechanics than we have. And so you do get to a point, and we've been at that point where feedback from our players is like really, really important to dialing in certain aspects, especially mechanics like that. Zuwang, yeah, we will have some. We will have some accommodations for different like time zones, different geographic servers and things like that, including East and West Coast, an EU, and a Oceanic to start with. Taxiderm, I've heard as much. Taxiderm says you miss so much by not sticking with Vanguard longer, and I would not argue that. It's just I don't know. Um, World of Warcraft, like I never really stopped playing EQ. I always went back to it here and there. But once World of Warcraft came out, like I very happily and pretty heavily, moved over to that game. Um, because it was different enough, but it was like its own thing. And it was obviously, really well done and all that. Um, but I would keep playing EverQuest as well. I played both games. But I don't know. When Vanguard came out, um, it it actually did feel like it was trying to be too much WoW to me. Now, granted, it had death penalty, and it had some other things that were very much kind of in that EQ vein, but yeah, it just the quest hubs and the linked NPCs, and some of the other things that were very strongly WoW inspired. I don't know. I'm not, and again, this is just my opinion. I've worked with people on this team and talked with many people who have nothing but good things to say about Vanguard. So I'm not interested in I'm not trying to say it was not a good game, and certainly didn't become a good game and a much better game over time. But those are the reasons that kept me from initially being able to stick with it longer, because I couldn't get past that. Nice, Clock. Glad to hear that. Kikalik, thanks so much for the Prime sub. Thank you for the 2 months. That's awesome. Zeddy Bear and Main Tank, thank you for the follows. Thank you for being here. Nice, Nagasaki. Thank you. That's awesome. Can we get a bit more controversial in here? Can you explain how much you hate playing with boxers? uh, I don't know what else there is to say. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Hey, what's up, Ghostly Gopher? Good to see you. Welcome. Will there be ports in the start of EA for Wizards later level, of course? Not at the start. Not at the start. I mean, I would say there's maybe like a 2% chance, maybe, that, because I've talked with Kyle about it. We've talked through like what it needs to be and all that, and it just depends. Like our pencils down day getting ready for EA is this Saturday. Like once this Saturday comes, it's like we're going to devote, no more patches, internal patches or anything. We're just going to devote the rest of the time to like bug fixing, checking. So I say no more patches. I mean, there'll be, if there's issues, we'll fix them, and going to try to like, no more net new anything. No more net new data, no more new art, animation stuff, world building, mechanics. Like, just come Saturday, we're going to pause all that, focus on just cleaning everything up, and then we're going. Is whether stats scale with level of smaller change. Well, we're not going to do stat scaling with level. What we are going to do is allow players to invest like stat points intermittently along the way. The tentative plan right now is every 5 levels, you would get a point that you could invest in an attribute of your choice. We've done kind of a temporary stopgap where there's like consumable trait items that you can buy at your trainers to allow you to kind of get a permanent stat point, depending on, it's not really going to be a choice though. Like we've determined like what stats we're going to allow based on your class. And so it's kind of this temporary stepping stone to at least get that feel in place, but eventually you're going to be able to choose a stat every so often. But we are not going to do like your stats just go up innately when you level up. We're not going to do that. Yeah, the PVL guys, I mean, they're always just absolutely blisteringly good. Dayhawk, that was good. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this justice. Strap in. My wife sent me a heartwarming text that read, "If you're sleeping, send me your dreams. If you're laughing, send me your smile. If you're eating, send me a bite. If you're drinking, send me a sip. If you're crying, send me your tears. I love you." I replied, "I'm on the toilet. Please advise." I was, yeah. You definitely want some additional direction in that situation. I would agree. I would agree. Thank you, Jindashi. That's awesome. Oh, I see. Nilla, okay. You're saying like stats being weighted more heavily as you get higher level. I mean, yeah, that I would say that's something that if we decide to, I would include that in kind of a smaller iteration type pass. I mean, the landscape's going to be so different when you guys come back in for EA. As far as itemization goes, like it's going to be the first time where all of our combat related and formula related and balance related changes is going to actually marry up to our itemization as a whole, both the availability of items and then, I mean, I've had so much fun these last few days going in and really building out, kind of revisiting and kind of refreshing and in some cases building out brand newly the loot tables for some of our named NPCs and rare NPCs. And it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be a really, really good moment to see both of those things coming together. And that'll give us a lot of feedback that will kind of help guide us in what further iterations we may want to consider. Pog will be worth killing. Why isn't Pog worth killing? Is it because you guys don't like having a... Oh, I think I know one reason why Pog is not worth killing. I saw it the other day when I was going through his loot table, and I saw that the clicky was like a 20-minute cooldown. And I was like, no, 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 no. And that it didn't have any spell effect or anything. Like, it just, clickies have to feel good, you know what I mean? They gotta feel good. It has a 20-second cooldown, but that's better than 20 minutes. Now, if you're a shaman, it's not, you know, the most important item that you need, since you can cast it yourself. But yeah, 20 seconds is slightly better than 20 minutes. But it's not an equipable item. It's an inventory clicky. And I've been having a lot of fun making some items these last few days. I've been thinking a lot about you guys playing and you guys finding, you know, certain items as you play. And again, that's where I was telling my mom the other day over the Thanksgiving time. I was just reflecting with her because she knows that the EA is coming up, and she's a great mom. Like, you know, we've stayed really close, and she's pretty aware of, you know, what I've got going on. And but I was just reflecting with her, and I was like, you know, all those hours that I spent playing EverQuest, you know, back in the day in the basement, you know, just so much time where you're like, you know, what have I, like, on a parent level, you're like, what, is this okay that I'm letting, you know, my son play video games this much, and just wondering like what I was gonna do with my life and all that stuff. And she always did a really great job of like voicing those kind of things constructively. But I was just reflecting with her, like, you know, the work that I've been doing, literally the work that I've been doing in these last few weeks leading up to what is our biggest milestone to date, is being fueled by all of those hours, all of those days and weeks and months and years that I spent playing that game, specifically when it comes to itemization, because there's a way that you think about itemization, you think about like the things that you remember really wanting and really hoping for and really hunting for, that you just know by playing these games. It's really good. Yes, I am a true basement nerd. That's right. Eventually there will be server transfer capabilities for sure. Yes, much respect to moms of basement dwellers. Indeed. Do the devs voice the people in the game, or do you guys outsource voice actors? None of us voice any characters. Yeah, a couple items I can show you guys just as things that are in the game. You don't know where they are. Obviously, we've got Tilo's ankle bracelet. I'm gonna hide screen real quick and give me one sec. All right. Oscar, yeah, that is still the plan. AK, we are doing 500 per server right now. That and the reason for that number is just based on how much game is going to be available. So when we decide to raise those caps, it'll be when, you know, as we get more and more of the world online, we'll slowly raise those caps to be what they are intended to be ultimately. I'm still in the basement. That's right. Tobruk, you're right. I'm still in the same basement. Mom just yelled at me to take the trash out. You know what I mean? All right, so we had these 3 items, or 3 that I was going to just show you guys real quick. These are just 3 of the many that are coming in. A lot of new ultra rare grade, if you will, items back on the named NPCs. So anytime you're looking for a named, hunting a rare or kind of a boss NPC or anything like that, then you know, by EA, the majority of them will be itemized with that kind of full suite. And the plan right now, so again, it's never going to be player facing. We don't do like colors or anything like that. But we do in the background internally have these quality tiers that we use to kind of manage how strong items are and things like that. So we can also know if we want to break rules and make something a little weaker than it should be, or something a little stronger or a lot stronger than it should be at certain levels. We kind of have all that rubric there to do that. But, you know, we've been dealing with like common and uncommon tier rarity in the game right now, what you guys most recently played, with a few little rares here and there. But we're going back now to... because we've adjusted spawn rates for rare, named, and boss NPCs, and we've adjusted drop rates as well to accommodate this. But your typical rare, your typical named NPC will have 1 or 2 uncommon things that it can drop, a rare item, and an ultra rare. And again, we've kind of finagled the drop rates a little bit, where that ultra rare should feel ultra rare, but we still have legendary and mythic grade as well. And my plan, we won't have any mythics in the game, but the plan is to have, you know, 3, 4, 5 legendary grade items, you know, in the game to be found when EA starts. Do I think the Vashir were the downfall of EverQuest? I don't know. I know that the Luckland expansion really kind of lost me. Nivea, yes, there will. So here's another quick clicky. Which I'm pretty happy about. I'm not going to tell you guys what it does, but it is the Warmonger's Totem. Gives you a nice little 12-minute buff there. And then Rip Smack. Chance on hit to apply bleeding wound. Proc chance increases slightly with dexterity. I'm excited about that one. What are you doing? You see how he's attacking? He's attacking with, like, the end of the mace. So let's see if we can get this proc. What's the thing with the Ancient Feather? Indeed. That's a great question. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to fix this animation. Blunt one-handed. Just saw it. Slashing one-handed blunt strike? Okay. Yeah, it'd probably look okay on a dagger, but you know. Societas, this is Unity. That's better. What's my dexterity? 5. Okay. Twink weapon at level 1. Taking down level 2s. No spells. There's the proc. I'm gonna turn up my dexterity and see how big of an effect that has. So this says that the bleeding wound proc, the chance of the proc increases slightly with dexterity. So I'm actually up to 50 dex now. Let's see. See just how slightly it is. It does have a visual effect on it. It should. And a sound effect and all that good stuff. There it is. It's kind of weird on these guys because the visual effect, it's like it kind of is inside of their chest instead of like right in front of it, so it's a little harder to see. Let me try it on a... Let's try it over here. Hello. All right. That dex is giving me some nice crit chance. There it is. Yeah, it's just kind of like... Yeah. Could probably make that a little better. All right, so let's look at the cast bar. Here we go. Enemy cast bar. On... Let's see. Boom. You guys think a little thicker? Okay. Yeah, I see that, Raydale. We'll definitely have some class-specific gear, for sure. Okay. Well, we can definitely make it a little bigger. We can definitely make it a little bit bigger. Charm. I guess I could stand to be a little bit higher level, huh? Now I'm going to say something about Charm, okay? Charm is potentially one of the most game-breaking... If you've played EverQuest, you know this. It is potentially one of the most game-breaking abilities that exists. If we cannot get all edge cases good in time for the start of EA, we are not going to include it. And I say that saying we're going to be putting it through some heavy paces this week. It's already had a little bit of testing in different scenarios. There's still some ways that Charm is very broken right now. Because of all of like some of the subtle like aggro managing that needs to happen. And the way aggro is built while something's charmed versus when charm breaks or when the enchanter dies or when there's, you know, multiple NPCs involved, especially with our kind of faction system. We did tweak charm since the last time I streamed to also allow for charm immunities. So we will be able to protect, you know, bosses and other things that we don't want to be charmable from being charmed. But we've got to test, you know, the power of the NPC. It's the kind of ability that if we include it at the start of EA and it's not dialed in, then it's just kind of like asking for like, you know, let's go ahead and massively imbalance things right out of the gate. So I would rather delay charm coming in a little bit than have that issue. Yeah, Lewin, and that's a good point, and that's part of what kind of the deeper work that we need to do to really kind of balance this out. And that is, you know, how do NPCs, if you're charming a group NPC, for example, how does that NPC need to be altered stat-wise? Also, expect when charm does come in, expect for most NPCs for a little while to only have auto attack. It's going to take some time for us design-wise to go through and, you know, make decisions on what NPCs should be or what spells should be usable while charmed. So just be patient with the mechanic. It's a big deal. It's a big part of the game, and it's not only for enchanters. I mean, shamans use it, necros use it, druids will probably use it, NPCs will use it against players. Like, there's a lot to it, and yeah. Havadar, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Yeah, Clan Crushbone, that's actually a really good point. It's going well, Salacious. We'll take a look at some of that here in a little bit. but it is going well. The work right now is making sure that the population in the new zones is keeping up with, or the itemization is keeping up with the itemization is keeping up with the population. Making sure that the itemization is compelling all the way, all throughout. But it's coming. With the new starting areas coming in, can you talk about factions? Yeah. What state they're currently in, as well as what is planned. I'm assuming you want a similar system to EQ with a bunch of ways to alter them and gain access to places. Yes. So here's my thought on factions. Well, hold on. Let me finish this thought first. I just want to test let's try how long this lasts with 20 charisma. Let's go back and do our test here. Like, see, I mean, perfect example. Like, what's going on with this dude? I want to see what happens when charm breaks, if charm breaks. But so you got a charm buff now, so you can actually see that we don't have a visual effect on it yet, but you can see that the target's charmed. Taxiderm, I just don't have any abilities set up for it right now. Let's do a quick test on that, though. It's always good. Oh, dude. All right. Charm broke. Hello. And they're both fighting me now, so that's good. That's what we want. Except this guy's... Both of these guys... Why are these guys bugged? This kind of stuff, chat. This Yep. Soterian, you couldn't have captured it better than that right there. Typical programming, typical code. Fix one thing. It's like, oh. Nah, there's something with pets. The pet system still has some kinks in it, and this is one of the ways it manifests where NPCs, it's like they get confused between the pet target and you, and with some of the interesting things we've got going on with Charm specifically, with how aggro is working, it's just something we need to flesh out a little bit more. But yeah, so if we do... let's find the NPC first. So we got to find the Maven. Blast device, that's right. All right, we're gonna check this out. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to get the PvP server up by launch, unfortunately. But as soon as we can. Oh, okay. Thanks, Mark. So that's a pretty big one. Mean Season, seeing your name reminded me that you messaged something earlier. See if I can find it again. Mean Season says, how are camp spaces for groups going to work out now that we will have much more of a population and no more server swapping? I mean, is it okay to say we will see? We're going to see. It would not surprise me at all if we find pretty quickly that we need more camps. We need more NPCs. So... I don't think we can name the PvP server Ralos, Zach. I don't know. I don't think that would go very well. Yeah, even with 3 new zones, because remember, even though there's 3 new zones coming in, there's only 1 more starting zone. Well, there's kind of like the evil starting zone. Don't let me forget to go back and talk about factions, by the way, because it's a pretty big one. I don't want to forget. But, yeah. Thanks, Tobruk. That reminds me of like when Queso is playing one of the mini like random demoware horror games. And says, hey, chat, let me know when you see batteries. He's looking for batteries. And then, of course, chat's just like, batteries, 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 batteries. Whether there's a battery or not. So I appreciate that. Thanks for reminding me. But remind me again when I'm done with this. Okay. Or no, we'd set it to 20, not 50. There we go. Aggro. Nope. Look, see? There it is. Now, will she use it automatically? Since it's... Yep, she will. Nice. I did not click that. Now, I can turn it off and use it. Let's make sure that she doesn't use it if it's turned off. See, this is a good case in point. Right now, there's an issue with the Charmed Pet where it's like they don't inherit the master's like faction. So those NPCs ran right past the pet to me. What they should have been doing is attacking the pet because the pet was closer. Like this one, maybe not so much, but the shadowy thug that ran from over here. So it's like the pet's missing that, so now I can use a manually watch. Boop. Did you get... What happened? Hello? 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 So it seems like the auto attack ability, the auto attack is overriding and canceling out that action. But if I put it on auto, it's fine. So, yeah. I don't know. What is this icon? That's funny. Oh. Hello. Now, if I die, they should all just chill. Good. Okay. That was another issue we were having is like, if your charmed pet and another NPC were fighting and then you died, they would go back to fighting each other. So that's been fixed. The auto attack overrides the water pet's heal. I'm assuming when you're trying to do it manually, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a note of that. Let me go ahead and message Steve, by the way, and just let him know about the making the cast bar a little bigger. Oh, Steven! Okay. All right. Let's see. Zidius 2004 2 TWO. Vochor and the Gemini 27. Thank you all so much for the follows. Thank you for being here. Sir Wormbait, thank you so much for the raid as well. Sorry I missed that. Welcome to you. Welcome to the new faces. What about hardcore servers? Yeah, I would love that. I would love hardcore servers. Both PvE and PvP. It would be so much fun. Well, 247 is a different thing. .247 is a different thing. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to take a look at here? I did want to hop over to... And I am 30 minutes past my hour here, chat, so don't be surprised if I cut it here pretty short. I do need to talk about faction. Okay, let's talk about faction while I am shifting to... I want to head over to Wild Zen real quick. One sec. Oops. Okay, faction. Thank you for reminding me. I've been thinking a lot about faction. Okay? And faction is one of those things that when you think about new players, when you think about like new players to the genre. Ooh, we got new music in this zone, guys. Oh yeah. We've got some LOD. Gotta figure out why some of this stuff's not loading in the distance. I've been thinking a lot about faction. And for players that are new to the genre, for players that it's been a while since they've played a game like this, I'm starting to think that faction is something that we may not want to have turned on when EA begins. And instead, faction should be something that we introduce with some kind of fanfare behind it. Where we can educate the player base and kind of prepare for that to happen. Because for a couple of reasons, maybe two reasons. Number one, partly because we need more time to dial it in to the level where it's not going to be just kind of a mess. Because for a long time now, ogres, dark myrrh, like there's been no distinction. Dire lords, like class-based and race-based. Faction really hasn't played any role with quests and what's available and things like that. To get to the point where it does, and to get to the point where, you know, you're going to eat a death if you run, you know, into a village or a different faction. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't want to pull any punches when it comes to faction. I'm not interested in watering faction down or making it less dangerous than it was in EverQuest, for example. But what I would like to do is make it a little bit more clear and educate players a little bit more on what faction is and how it works and what to be mindful of, so that they're not eating deaths like relentlessly because of their race and their class right out of the gate. So that's kind of where my mind is like, they're going to have unique starting areas, but faction may not yet be in play. We're not going to just flip the switch on and be like, yeah, if you make an ogre, if you run too close to Avelia, you're going to get killed and possibly not be able to get your corpse back right out of the gate. Water's busted. It's not flowing. The current is working though. But it's not flowing. The water's not busted. Dwarves just can't swim. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, see, it's like the surface is like this weird glassy. It's not actually like it's an interesting rendering issue with this water. We've still got some kinks to work out with like getting in and out of the water too when it comes to surfaces that are steep. All little polish points. Yeah, it's like it's wanting to keep me in the water volume. I need Steve to take a look at this. Is the intention to keep factions, is to have factions prevent people with good and bad factions to play together? No, not necessarily. I mean, taking cues from EQ, for example, like you could have, I mean, there were classes and races in EQ that were hated almost everywhere. And you had to learn like where you could go, and if you were meeting up with other people that didn't have those faction issues, you had to learn how to kind of like work around that, which I'm 100% good with. Better. We need to get our fox model in. No, it's not. It's not meant to keep you from playing with other people. It's meant to introduce a layer. It's meant to introduce a layer of difficulty, of challenge, depending on the character that you make. So if you make an ogre and the ogre's hated by humans or feared by humans or whatever, or even if it's like a certain faction within the human faction, maybe it's not all humans, maybe it's certain faction of human, then that's kind of an additional layer of consideration you need to take when you go into a certain area. And then the other key is that factions are malleable. You can adjust your faction with things based on, doing things that faction likes. Even if that faction hates you, if you do enough things that faction likes, you can over time change that and, become tolerated or even friendly with those factions. So that's a whole layer that the point I was making is it is a very different layer that a lot of people aren't used to. It's one of those things that, like, if you're coming from like EQ and you're hardcore EQ, you're super versed in like EQ, then you're right at home. You get it, you understand it. It's almost like a kind of an innate part of your thinking. If you're not coming from EQ or you've been far removed from that EQ background, you might have no idea what's going on, and find yourself in a situation where you can no longer like get your body or get back to what is going on with the I don't like how that's getting like stuck like that. See that? That's no bueno. Hey, Samira, good to see you. Is it Sumo? I'm pretty sure that, or I was pretty sure that Steve had done a pass on that, but maybe not. Yeah, space should swim you up. It does swim you up. There's some issues right now with, as best I can tell, there are some issues with the way that it's interpreting whether you're in water or on the terrain. And so like right now, actually, even if I swim deeper, it's if I push space, it's going to jump because it thinks I'm like on land when I'm not. But if I'm moving, like if I'm right on the bottom, if I'm swimming right along the bottom, it'll jump me. But if I'm up off the bottom, then spacebar will push me up. So it's just, I mean, there's just still a few little control aspects that we need to refine. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, we're still, that still puts us squarely ahead of New World in the swimming department, that's for sure. The biggest issue is this. The biggest issue is like I should be able to very cleanly, smoothly swim and transition right into the run coming out of the water. But there's something going on where the terrain and the water volume meet that just, like if I stop, yeah, no. It doesn't like getting out of there. I can jump out, I guess. Anyway. It would also be cool to have that little climbing animation play when you come out, where you kind of like, you know, like when you're climbing up a ledge and you kind of like, your feet kind of walk up the wall as you push yourself up. It'd be cool to play something like that when you come out. All right. Yeah, still lots of like population stuff going on in here in the zone as we speak. There's some new NPC types, all kinds of cool things like that that I'm not going to show. Oh, did I smoff? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember you asking you to remind me to show that. Yeah. That's the goal, AK. Yeah. That's the goal. Technically, it's 3 starting areas. So the halflings and the... Yeah, well, like this area right here, this is a perfect example of something that hasn't been popped yet. So there's still some places like here as we're moving through this zone. It's part of what we're doing this week is, you know, combing through all the zones and then finding the areas like this where, you know, they still need their pass. Will VIP and Champions start at the same time for EA? I don't know. I feel like I have done very little reading of any logistics these last few weeks, so I'm ashamed to say I do not actually know. I'm not a fan of like head starts anyway, so I'm kind of like, eh. Maybe if I don't pay attention, it won't happen. Would you like to see deity choices on character creation that influence faction? And would that be something you see launching alongside factions? No, not in Pantheon, because the relationship that the deities have to the world, the Celestials have to the world, is very different. Like, they're not, for the most part, the Celestial Pantheons are essentially dormant because there's a break in the connection that they have with the races and the denizens of Terminus. And so they don't play that kind of a role anymore. At least for the time being, because of that. By the way, I have missed a few things here I need to not miss. So, Vochor, the Gemini, Hadouken. Thank you for the follows. Monkey Feathers 32, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Zerot Blackheart, Labot, Subanav 13, Brelion TV, Gustad, and Poisinks. Thank you so much for the follows. Dartorn, thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you for the 5 months. Appreciate that so much. Sorry I'm behind on those. Oh yeah, see? Fog volume. There's something going on with our volumes too. Case in point. That's something Bronson's working on today, actually, is figuring out why that we've getting some inconsistent coverage in our volumes. That fog volume adds such a nice little touch, though. For those of you that maybe are not used to watching the stream and watching, things like me running around through these zones, just know that these hitches and these stops and starts where there's loading is because I'm running this in the editor itself. I'm not actually running it in the client. Black Fox, it will actually. Yeah, the giant ruins that you've seen me run around are quite sprawling and are set up to be a very similar kind of dungeon as the Goblin Caves. Yeah. It's just a kind of an outdoor dungeon, but it will be set up the same way that the Goblin Caves is. It will have several named NPCs, boss NPCs. It'll have dungeon loot, and it'll be for characters that start here. It'll be kind of that first destination that they go to for that dungeon-like experience. So the temple on the mountain is actually like level 45 plus. So that's an in-game dungeon. The temple area in the mountain in the south is also a pretty high level area, but it's more its point and its purpose is much more like lore driven and event oriented. So there will be some area at the base of that mountain where there's some like good old fashioned adventuring content. But those two areas specifically, the Gate dungeon, it's called the Gate, and then the Daedrum Ascent are like post EA unlocks, like post EA start unlocks. Oh, it definitely does need more camps, yeah. 100%. It's coming. This week is like... This is our crunchiest week, and it's literally all about that. It is literally about itemization and NPC pop up and down. So you will notice a major difference between these areas from like today to like Friday. If I stream Friday, you'll see it. Yeah, see, look at that. Oh, it drives me crazy. This volume's way too thick anyway, but even still, it's like just popping on and off like that. Yeah, Jalskar I do too. This is my favorite biome. Not like I love this area, but my favorite is when you get into the open, kind of the open field section. Zeratel, will torches illuminate from the inventory? No, not yet, but that's where it's headed. Obviously, this area is still needing its NPCs placed as well. All the population, like the NPC population, and like what's planned and what's going to be where, all that's done. It's just finishing Wild's End, and then moving into here, and then a few last kind of passes on Silent Plains as well. Any thoughts on accessibility for people who are colorblind? I don't know how to, like, the best way to encapsulate that. Like, what I would like to see are presets, like colorblindness presets that you can do that kind of applies an overlay that I think it's relatively standard that games would have kind of these preset settings for color blindness. It gives you some different options. I'm sure that's where we'll end up, somewhere like that. What will the state of questing be at the start of EA? There will be more quests, but quests will definitely be an ongoing part of, like, the process. We will not be where we want to be with quests at the start of EA in terms of, like, saturation. We're not a super quest heavy game in the sense of, like, building out quest hubs and there, you know, always being quests to do to progress and things like that. But that being said, we still won't quite be where we want to be, but we'll be closer. Remember, a lot of quests too, a lot of quests also are not going to be, like, overtly obvious. So keep that in mind as well. The question about, like, this zone in particular, somebody asked it earlier. Void, will we prevent you from earning XP after 40? Most likely, yeah. Most likely once you hit 40, it'll act as if you've reached kind of that end point. Will any races be prohibited from running to other starting races due to level? No. I mean, it's a long run. It's a long run. But no, if you can get there, you can get there. What will the mob, this is the one I was looking for. What will the mob density be like here? Will it be feasible to camp somewhere here and pull enough to keep a group going? Yes. There's kind of two, I don't want to, like, dispel all the discovery elements, but there's, yes, there's kind of the more densely forested part of the zone. There's the more wide open part of the zone. The more wide open part of the zone will be probably more like a Karana's feel, where there will be wander beasts and things that kind of move around the area in large routines. But there will definitely be pockets of things as well. So there's a lot of interesting NPCs in here that it'll kind of make more sense once you see it. But it'll be kind of a nice mixture of the two. Will there be a language barrier between races? In some cases, yeah. Okay, hold on. No, not in the sense of like a language system like EQ had. There's not going to be gibberish that as you hear it, you have a language skill that goes up and it's like mapped to different types of languages. We're not gonna go that far with it. But there will be certain cases where you will need a certain item or have to complete like a certain like perception-oriented quest or phase that will take a specific NPC or a specific NPC group that has gibberish otherwise and unlock being able to actually understand them. So there will be elements of language. It just won't be like a skill-based system like it was in EQ. I want to take a second and show you guys. Like, this is going to be one of the only things that I risk, like, it's something that, you know, could easily be saved for EA for people to find on their own. And I will go ahead and put a spoiler tag on this, so if you don't want to know, if you want it to all be fresh, please wait until I say, okay, we're done. But I am going to show you guys something that I think will help you feel some of the range of these zones and some of the specific areas of the zones that I think show off a range that maybe you wouldn't expect. But I'm going to do it off monitor here, so there's still, even for those of you that want to see it, there's still an element of exploring this place. Salacious, that's literally been my focus for the last week and will be for the rest of this week, is like rare, uncommon and rare named NPCs to support the itemization. I'm adding a lot of uncommon NPCs to the content that we already have, but then also in every new zone, every new pocket, spending a lot of time coming up with the NPCs to support the uncommon and rare itemization that I'm working on. So, I mean, it's going to be a massive improvement to what's in game right now in terms of just like kind of having that ever-present sense of anticipation of what you're going to find and what could spawn and what drops in these different areas. It's going to feel really good. I died. It's okay. Even I'm lost. Hold on. Okay. For the sake of brevity, I'm gonna pull this up in the engine because I am hopelessly lost. It's a good thing. That is a good thing. Hold on. Okay. We're still in Eastern Plains, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, just a quick little peek, just a quick peek at some of the range. No, it's not the Mad Moor. So there's some similarities, like geographically, they're not, super far away from each other. But oh no, there's ads. No. Oh, the ads. Oh, the ads. Well, I'll repeat what I'm going to say again in some degree, but uh, it's very difficult, and by design, it's very difficult to not get a good sense of how massive these zones are, and how many different places there are, and even like biomes and subbiomes there are within them. So I just wanted to show a really quick peek to say, like, we're in this beautiful orangish gold biome, and then there's quite a bit of range, in some of the areas. And this is just one perspective, right? One perspective. Welcome back. What I was saying is, the reason I'm showing this is just to give a quick snapshot, quick bit of perspective of the range that you'll see in some of these zones. And it's difficult to make sense of it without the context of like how these areas transition from one to another, or where this is, in respect to the rest of the zone as a whole. But once you see it, I mean, to me, it's difficult to make like certain comparisons sometimes because they're very different. But when you think of something like going from Butcher Block Mountains to Dagnor's Cauldron, for example, totally different zones. It's helped by the zone line and then the long corridor run. But when you translate a zoned game like EQ into a world that's built and designed as a non-zoned world, it puts in some perspective, like how you can go from that beautiful golden orange, hilly biome to something like this. And obviously it's not just like a boom, you're there. Like you have to actually find this place, and there's travel involved and all that. But it's just a reminder, like these zones are massive. They have, lots of nooks and crannies and things that you don't always think about, or wouldn't expect, I should say. But I love this area. I love it. This area is called the Dead Shoals. The Dead Shoals. That's not for me to say, Tobruk. This is not another zone. No, this is part of the Hills of Rulun. But this is a very small slice of this Dead Shoals area. There's actually a lot down here. There's a lot that I'm not showing, and it's a pretty sizable area, for sure. Okay, somebody said they wanted to take a quick look at the evil starting area, and I think that's where we're going to stop. Is we'll take a quick look at that together. And I need to figure out how I can do this in a way that doesn't... Hold on. I don't want to spoil where this is at yet. Let's see. Hold on. Hmm. Hold on. Bear with me. Hey, what's up, Zerat? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this to you guys. It kind of stinks. Let me try one more thing. Let me be clear. I don't want to show it to you in a really visible, clean, well-lit way, because I don't want to kind of dispel, you know, I don't want you to see it in a Unity scene environment kind of way, because it just, you know, ruins the mystique of the area. But the problem is, it seems like a change was made to the volume and the post effects that kind of set the mood and, you know, affect like how the darkness and kind of like what gives it its depth and its tone and all that. And I'm going to see if we've done a recent enough bake where some of it is actually in like a build, then I can run around in there on a character, then we'll look at it that way. But if not, I'll just wait and show you a little bit later when it can look right. Let me check that real quick. I've heard that a few times, Jindashi, that the starter tools are really, really slow. How quickly can you upgrade a starter tool? Like how, you know what I mean? Quick enough? Really quick? Okay. Ooh, the biggest question is what are the best snacks to have at EA launch? That is a good question. That is a very good question. I keep wanting to say Byakugan. Byakuyo. Thank you for the follow. XLG TTV, thank you for the follow. And Ashrak, thank you for the follows. Thank you so much. Large Farva 1970 with the Prime sub. Thank you. Drugbud with the Prime sub. Thank you as well. Zerat Blackheart with the Prime sub. Thank you so much. Lil Lucky 173 with the Tier 1. Thank you for the 2 months of support. Joppa, thanks for the ending event before the wait on EA. Absolutely, you bet. Glad you guys had fun. Sorry the server was throwing all kinds of fits. Jive Ass, thanks for the Prime. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce your name, but thank you so much for the Prime sub. Snacks. I don't know. Depends, right? Like, do you guys... Jive Ass, nice. Do you guys like eating like heavy when you're gaming, or do you like eating light? Or do you even care? Or do you even eat at all? I guess that's an equally valid situation. Will there be pizza? I don't think so. Slash tacos. All right, let's see. I see those 100 bits. Thank you, Death to Gnomes, and the professional Lurk. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Really appreciate that, guys. Very much. Sorry, I've been distracted these last few minutes. I am hoping we can take a quick look here. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, it is busted. That's too bad. There's a new screenshot though. Can at least show that. Yes, mean season. Yes, this is where the evil races will start. So this is where the ogres and the dark mer will start. Yeah, quote unquote evil, right? Quote unquote evil. There is a little water in there. Yeah. Fantasy Freak says, "Hey, I listened to your recent discussion on the lack of feeling stronger as you level. This is a major issue that undercuts motivation to play the game. Have you thought about making someone else the lead on class QA and balance, someone that will extensively play every class?" No, I have not thought about doing that, but we are making several steps between, well, I guess at the moment now and EA, but we've been working on it for the last few weeks as well, itemization wise, to dramatically like kind of affect and improve that feeling. Plus, another thing that I'm hoping that we can get in by the time EA hits, if not very soon after, is the kind of the out level when as you get higher level than the target you're facing, whether it's a group NPC or not, the penalties, the degradation of power that happens there is something else that's just not existent at all right now. By choice, we just took that out to kind of cleanse our balancing palette, if you will. But that's something that should be much improved. And I think a lot of the vision behind it and how it's all meant to work together is going to be much better come EA. So if you disagree at that point, please feel free to continue to voice that feedback. That'll be really good feedback. But I'm confident that it will feel much better. Unka, the next zone is going to be Black Rose Keep. Beef Fleur, no, not quite. No, not quite. Because this is not a. It's going to serve us really well as a starting area for the evil races, but it's not like their home. It's actually meant for something else, not related to those races, but it works really well for a starting zone for them as well. Hopefully that makes sense. It's something that we will use long term as what it's actually intended to be, but it works really well as also a place for these races to have kind of a starting point. How many weeks out from EA start until Gnomes? I wish I could answer that. I really do. I'm excited about gnomes. Let's see if there's anything else that we want to look at real quick. Hmm. We've got some cool texture variations coming in for some of our NPCs. Like griffins are something that you'll start seeing a lot more of in some of these zones. It's some pretty neat, like griffin texture variations, at least for the griffin type that we have right now. So you guys have seen the like kind of the storm griffin variant, with kind of like the white and the gray. But give you an example of some of the. It's a really great way to like get a lot of mileage out of an NPC model, right? Just to retexture it. So we've got a kind of golden brownish version. We've got a black, or I'm sorry, the jungle kind of crazy exotic version. We've got the more of kind of a darker themed as well. A couple of texture variants that Bronzy Bear whipped up, and you can expect a similar kind of similar. I mean, this is something you probably expect to see like in Wild Zen in certain areas and places where it fits a little bit more. But these are also usable for us for named NPCs, rare spawns, things like that. We want to have rare spawns. I mean, there'll be some exceptions, but where we can, we want to have rare spawns that are rare, not just in name only, but actually it's like, wow, from a distance, you can just visually tell like this is unique and different. So a glowy weapon. I commit to you that by the time EA begins, there will be at least one obtainable glowy weapon that I can absolutely commit to that. An obtainable mount, at the very least, not until we get the mount system in. But I guarantee you, they won't be flying. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I do need to call it a day. The itemization in the NPC population is calling my name loudly. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Bacon, by the way, thank you so much for the tier 1. Thank you for the 7 months of support. Appreciate that so much. All of you guys being here, we are so close. But again, I want to say again, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll wrap up. We are very close. EA is very exciting. It's a big deal. Major milestone for us. But remember to take a deep breath. You know, if you're worried, let me phrase this towards those of you that are maybe feeling worry or feeling concern. You want the game to be successful, right? Absolutely. You want people to really like it. You want people to give it a fair shake. All these things. If any of you are concerned, if any of you are worried or nervous, just remember, take a deep breath. It is, we still have a journey here, okay? And the beginning of this thing, who knows? Who knows what it's going to look like? It could be really rough. But it's not about the 13th. 13th is a big deal, absolutely. But it is about doing what we have committed to do on the 13th. It is about transitioning into this new era, and it's about beginning to show a larger and larger group of people who are hopefully playing the game. And that would be, for those of you watching that are watching, I don't know, watching antagonistically, or if you're feeling antagonistic about the project, or you're maybe some of you maybe even are excited about the project for different reasons because you're hoping to see it go south, or you're hoping to do your part in trying to bring it down. My one ask is, if you have not played it, that you at least give it a chance. Play the game. If it doesn't change anything about your mind, if it's not something that you're hopeful to see it progress and continue to grow, and you want to make that known, by all means, that is absolutely your right to do so. But at least give it a chance. Don't go off what you've heard. Don't go off what you've read. Play the game. And from that place, then, say what you need to say. But mainly who I'm speaking to, for sure, are people, if you're feeling concerned, if you're feeling nervous, all that, part of it's normal. You guys have been watching this thing for a long time, many of you. You want it to go well. I certainly want it to go well. But the way that I'm kind of, tempering myself is to understand that this is one step in a journey that still has many steps to go. And no matter how rough this initial launch might be, and it could be amazing. I mean, I'm approaching it with an open mind because we just don't know. But even if it is rough in the beginning, staying steadfast with the plan, the path, consistent updates, consistent communication, I do believe ultimately will bring us where we need to be. So hang in there. If you're feeling anxious, don't be anxious. But seriously, thank you guys so much for the support. Thanks for being here, the energy, the excitement. I'll be back again, hopefully tomorrow. I mean, and this week might look a little, who knows? Who knows how it's going to shake out, but I will definitely let you know. And let me see if I can raid somebody real quick. Let's see. Oh, what am I thinking? No one's playing Pantheon right now. Oh, man. It's like becoming one of my favorite parts. I'm typing in Pantheon and nothing comes up. Anyway. Who's streaming right now? All right, we can hit Primus. Oh yeah, I forgot that you're streaming Beeflore. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. All right, I'm going to launch you guys. Violently launch you into Primus's chat. He's playing some Ultima Online like an absolute boss. Guys, thank you. I'll be back with you soon. Probably chat with you as well on Discord here and there, but I will see you again very soon. This raid cooking. Make sure to give Primus some love. You guys take care, and I'll see you in not so long. Until then, adios.